The Attorney General of North Carolina is joining a multi-state lawsuit against the Federal Emergency Management Agency. AG Jeff Jackson says it's because of FEMA's decision to end $200 million of funding to prevent flooding. President Trump initiated the program during his first term, pumping money into water and sewage projects across North Carolina. The state Attorney General's office says with the new cuts, more than 60 projects would be stopped.
A number of these projects are water pump stations that are near rivers that tend to flood. And really the money is just for let's move these things up a hill so that when there is a flood, people there will still have access to clean drinking water.
One of the projects losing funding is in Gastonia. Nearly $6 million was allocated to restore the banks of a creek and relocate sewer lines to prevent flood damage. 19 other states are also part of this lawsuit against FEMA.
We are bringing back our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, when we look at this lawsuit, I mean, this is money Congress already approved, right? You've got engineers on standby. You got local groups that are ready to go at a moment's notice. Now you're just having to pull up the emergency brake and say, whoop, hang on. How can this happen? How can Congress, how are they, not Congress, how's FEMA able to take this money back?
I mean, it seems like they shouldn't be able to, and that's why Attorney Jeff Jackson and the other folks that are joining in on this complaint are saying the exact same thing. You got to look at a few things. President Trump, rendition 1, Trump 1.0, was really big on making America great again in building. Build, build, build. That was it. That's why this BRIC program is titled Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities. That was the extension. That's what he said. We're going to build, we're going to send money. And what are we sending money to do here? For infrastructure and support to prevent these storms. We saw a lot of storms that raged and took issues. And so communities here in North Carolina said, instead of us being reactive, why don't we do something proactively and ensure that we can do that? Attorney General Jeff Jackson just hit on some of those proactive things. Evacuation shelters, flood walls, safeguarding grids against wildfires, protecting wastewater, drinking water infrastructure, fortifying bridges, roadways. Those are the types of things that this program was supposed to protect. However, Trump 2.0 is less about building and more about saving. And so if you're talking about cutting, slashing, finding ways to cut, well, this is a program that can cut. Why? Because it's something that we're doing in their minds that is extra. It's something that, if you rewind the tape to 8 years ago, it was something that was needed and required. But if we're talking about cutting, the process and the priorities have changed for the administration, and this rendition is finding ways to cut costs. Now, who gets hurt in the middle? It's the citizens of North Carolina. That's why you see the bipartisan pushback from Tom Tillis and from folks in the Senate and in the House, and then now you see these lawsuits from Attorney General Jeff Jackson.
Khalif, we know that FEMA has flexibility. They have discretion, right, to decide how the funds are allocated. If it's not specifically earmarked for a project, you know, how does that work out there? Saying, okay, well, yes, we gave you money. We said it'd come, but we didn't promise it. We didn't earmark it. How does that work with that flexibility?
And that's what I was going to say. I see I had a visceral reaction to your saying that they have the ability to determine where funds go. I agree with that. They have ability once they are selected and granted. I think that's where the ability to cut mid-grant is problematic. So let's look at some of these grants. Salisbury, $22.5 million. Hillsborough, $6 million. Gastonia, $5.9 million. Mount Pleasant, $4 million. Leland, $1.1 million. These are places that we go with our hometown specials. These are places where folks that watch every day, that are home, they're now not going to receive these funds that are asking and know that they already need it. This isn't speculation. This isn't someone saying, let me look in a crystal ball and try to see if you need this. These are places that have been hit by storms in the past. Recognize that because there were major problems with what our resources look like, we need this so that the folks that are sitting there now aren't going to be in a problem when a storm hits. You want to have government that can react and respond instantly. And so the lawsuit is going on exactly what I would ask is, how can you remove and take money that's already been granted? Jason said it at the intro. You got folks that have already had contracts. You got people that have already agreed to do work. You have programs and people that are counting on these dollars, not just for the future, but currently. There are businesses that will be hurt because this money doesn't come to our community.
Okay, so what happens next? We're 2.5 months away from the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. We're still in hurricane season right now. For these communities that, like we said, have paused whatever infrastructure they were getting ready to do, what can the judge do? Anything? I mean, are we now done with this? Is there any way they can release some, maybe not all. Can they still release some of the
Well,
funds?
no, a judge can force them to release funds. So that process can happen, but they have to be able to prove their case on the merits. The court will have to say, first, does FEMA have the ability to stop funds that are already allocated? As you mentioned, earmarked and or dispersed will be probably where this will land. But the court can make a determination. You've already granted these funds. So what type of harm will it cause if you renege on your grant? So have they signed contracts in Gastonia or Mount Pleasant to already utilize the funds that they were anticipating getting? And will you cause any future damage to not just those communities, but to these businesses? That's what the Attorney General is doing, because he fights on behalf of the citizens of their individual state. And so they will say, no, my citizens in my state will be damaged, not just in dollars and cents. And if I'm asking for you to move fast, it's irreparable harm. There's harm that money can't fix connected to this as well. So I think a court can grant relief. It just depends on if a court is inclined to believe that FEMA doesn't have the power to stop a grant mid-grant. I think they have power clearly to not grant, to deny, to reject. But if it's already granted, I think that's going to be the question presented, and the court has to come up with an answer.
I mean, we've seen sometimes where if the president doesn't get his way to the courts, you go to Congress and act that way. Khalif, given how recent cases have gone in front of this administration, how does this play out? We're not talking 4 years ago, we're talking about right now. Where do you think it goes now, given the current administration and the pressure on judges to follow the president's orders, something we're going to talk about in our next hour?
I think any U.S. District Court judge in North Carolina that lives in these communities, if you file this in the Western District, that's right here in Charlotte. Yeah. If you file this in the Middle District, that's in that Asheboro, Greensboro area. Yeah, you're talking about judges that have lived through these things, where you couldn't get on certain highways in our communities because there was water damage and floods, where folks have lost their entire communities. And so I think any judge that's sitting here in this state that hears this case, yeah, they're supposed to be emotionally detached, but I would be hard pressed to find a judge that says, yeah, FEMA, you can take these funds. Now, when it gets to the Fourth Circuit, because I ultimately think it gets there, I think you may have judges that will be inclined to say, well, hold on, the president's able to cancel the program. I can agree. He's within authority to cancel a program he's created. He said, FEMA, you guys don't need this guidance anymore. But I think, I take it back to that same question. Can a Court of Appeals panel say that they were justified in canceling mid? I don't see that happening. So then it gets to the Supreme Court. But in the interim, will a judge grant relief while the case pens? That's something that we'll have to wait to see.
Man, I just picture all these communities you mentioned with hammers mid-swing going, hold up.
Right.
And they're just standing there for weeks and months going, yes, no, what do we do here?
Jason, I know we're rapping, but these are real people.
I know.
The budget's already set. These contracts are already awarded.
I know. All right, we'll see where it goes. Khalif, thanks. Appreciate it.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.